one of my proudest achievements of my life. And I do not think I could do that now. It was the first time I went to Burning Dude. Can you believe it? Somebody gave me $1,000. Someone I met at nowhere was like, I'm going to let you go to Burning Man. Here you are.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Not only do I believe it, I think that's unbelievably common.
Yep.
I think if you prod any burner community, you'll find a story of somebody just randomly
just gave me $1,000 to buy a plane ticket. And then I managed to hustle up a thing in the village, and they gave me a free ticket, and then I met all you great folks. And I went over there with $200 and survived for 3 months.
That is pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
I do not think I could do it again.
We are a loving, self-sustaining community.
I need my comforts now. I look back at that, I'm like, how on earth did I manage? That was mad. Mad times.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly used my ability to produce tickets for Burning Man to get as many people who hadn't previously been to Burning Man as possible.
Yep. It's good. Well, and then since then it's been nice, like I've been able to help by getting other folks a nowhere ticket every now and again.
I don't know what we're doing down here, guys.
Same thing we do every time we come down here. Yammer into the mics.
Yeah, but today we're yammering into the mics with someone truly cool. Not that our previous guests haven't truly been cool, but Pussy Willow is besides herself with cool.
Oh,
is that a term?
Fuck.
Did they say that in England?
No, I'm pretty sure you just made up some nonsense.
Great. Okay, take two.
Per usual.
I love Pussy Willow.
Isolate that.
Oh, I see. I get it. Yeah, that's my new ringtone. It's Beth saying, I love pussy.
Pussy Willow is only one of 3 burners we've allowed to live in our house after Burning Man.
Have all 3 of them been on the podcast?
Is Pascal on the podcast?
Yes.
Yep.
Who's the other one?
Who is the other?
Avian. Yes. So
Yes.
all of them have been on the podcast.
Wait, did we have Hemi on the podcast?
No, we talked
We
about
had
Hemi
Patrick on the
We
podcast.
had Patrick. Oh, and she called in, but I don't know if that made it to the final.
Yeah, so maybe not. Maybe I'm not totally only. Well, if I'm allowing them to live at my house, chances are I really like them.
I'd hope so.
And if I really like them and they're from Burning Man, I'm gonna eventually sucker them into being on the podcast.
Yeah, and you weren't even here for this episode. But
As I should never be.
Man, did we have a great conversation with Pussy Willow. It took me right back to being half in my cups back in the village, coming across Pussy Willow and just being grabbed by the hand into a conversation that lasts all night.
Oh, man.
Aww.
I really hope this episode holds up. Otherwise, the hate mail you're going to get, you just overselling it.
Okay, so here's the thing, listeners. I can't really guarantee how good the episode cut that you're listening to is going to be because honestly, I'm not done with it yet. We were just going to put it out as a burn barrel episode, but Rex and I thought it was so good that we decided to put it out as a regularly numbered episode, which means instead of getting 90 minutes of us blathering and going off on tangents, you're going to get a much tighter episode, and our patrons are going to get just about 2 hours of us talking with an old friend from across the pond. And
who is an awesome sex worker and who works really hard for sex worker rights and is an incredible performance artist and is the only woman I know who can transform entirely into a chicken using only a sweater and a lot of chutzpah.
It's real exciting. And it's amazing. And you hear a lot more of the stuff about sex work and the stuff about the projects that she and we are involved with that is not playa-centric.
But you'll definitely hear some of that in this episode because this is one of those episodes where we're talking to our friends. And if you've been listening for a while, you know it's real hard for us to stay focused just on Burning Man.
We just talk to our
we're chatting with our friends, especially when our friends are fascinating British sex workers.
Like me.
I didn't know you were British.
How do we get Pussy Willow back to Burning Man?
Listen to the
Tune in
episode, Beth.
to
We got a
find
plan.
out.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to need funding. That's for clear. And we're all going to have to be vaccinated. But besides that, like, we're ready. I've already got the plumber's strut. Friends, it's been too long. This is Pussy Willow.
So how did you find out about Nowhere?
Bloody million years ago, when I was 19, 33 now, I was in uni and irritating some people. I was in a strange uni for adult learners. I was in a room and I was irritating some of my friends, being like, let's go out, come out with me. And then one of my friends, Mark, he came in and he said, I've got some tickets to a cool party. And they said, take her. And he said, right, grab your neon lycra cat suits. I'm taking you to a decom. And I grabbed my neon lycra cat suits and we hopped on a bus to London, which for like 19-year-old me going to London to a party was very exciting because I'd just come from the north.
I legit thought this story was going to be like, and then he took me to the airport and stuffed me in a plane and we went to Spain.
No, not quite. Well, that's how I found. So he took me to this decom and I just let me free in my neon lycra cat suit and I couldn't believe it. My mind was blown, you know how it is. And then I told my brothers about it and everybody at home. And then I just couldn't afford to get out there. I heard about it and I couldn't afford to get out there for years. Then I moved to New Zealand for a bit.
Where it's much
It
cheaper
is.
to go to Burning Man from.
Yeah. And then I went to Kiwiburn, where I didn't know shit. I didn't have any food.
Oof.
Well, we had lifts. Oh, it was all a disaster. I didn't know what I was doing. And I went to Kiwiburn and spent most of the time frolicking naked and then heard more about Nowhere and then finally got there, like...
Well, it sounds like you
6
knew
years
exactly what you
later.
were doing.
Yep.
Frolicking naked at Kiwiburn is entirely appropriate.
Frolicking naked was very nice. Enjoyed that. And then, yeah, finally made it 6 or 7 years later. And the dude who welcomed me at the first decom, he was like, finally, you're here.
So tell us about Nowhere. You're the first guest we've had on who is a Nowhere attendee.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Now I feel like I've got so much to represent.
I think
We've definitely heard about it a lot, but like all of these big regionals are like just legends to me.
yeah.
I
like-
tell you what, Nowhere is bloody lovely. I don't know, like, it's changed, like all of these things, it's changed a lot over time. As it's got bigger because it's so good. Everybody wants to invite their friends, so it gets bigger. It's natural. What I like about... Okay, so in the UK, you've got two sorts of burners, I think. Ones that go to Nowhere and ones that can afford to go to Burning Man every year. And they're a very different type.
Is there much overlap there? Are there... Like, do the people
There are
who
lots
can
of
afford to go
people.
to...
There are some people who go to Nowhere and to Burning Man, and there's lots of people who manage to do it super cheaply and hustle it, like the ones that go and work super hard
Yeah.
and things and go and get their volunteer tickets. But like,
Once you're networked into the
the-
community, it can be achievable.
yeah, but the Nowhere crew is, I think, a bit more like, yeah, less cash, more work as.
Oh, that's
And
great.
lots of silliness. And I know it's different because America is... It's mad there. I tell you what, I had the biggest culture shocks in America than I've had anywhere in the world. The whole thing is different, and so Burning Man is like an exaggeration of everything America.
That's super interesting because I feel like of all the cultures in the world, maybe only Australia is more similar to us than you are?
I think the American South is very similar to English culture, as is patrician New England, but that's about it.
I think it's one of those funny ones. All of these places that speak English, a variety of English, we assume are culturally the same, but America is very culturally different to the UK. A lot of that is to do with you got the American dream, the capitalist dream. So you have the super rich and you have the super poor on the same street. And with more extremity, like we have very poor here and rich people here, but in America, everything's like magnified. Everything's bigger, everything's a bit shinier. The buildings are the roads have got 7 lanes. And so Burning Man, it's very big and extreme and shiny, whereas Nowhere's still a bit more, I don't know, stuck together with gaffer tape still.
Nice.
If that makes sense.
It certainly does. It's like Burning Man used to be. Burning Man before it blew up, like late 90s, early 2000s Burning Man, when most things were made out of scaffolding, just janky old scaffolding.
Yeah. Oh, I tell you, second time I went to Burning Dude, I got stuck in fucking Reno for
Yikes.
5 or 6 days because our lift fell through, and then we just could not get a ride. We were in the parking lots of gas stations waving signs, and nobody was giving us a ride, and we were quite stressed by the time we got there. And then we finally got a lift to the site, but we couldn't get onto the site through the gates unless we were in a vehicle. And again, nobody was letting us. I think that was the year they changed the vehicle laws, or people had to pay for vehicles, or something, so there was less vehicles overall. And then there was this dude pulled up in this outrageous, huge van thing, like those portable mansions. Mm-hmm. And he came out in a coat that was a gorgeous coat that obviously cost somebody else to craft thousands and thousands of dollars. And he comes up and he's like, "Look at my castle, look at my coat, look at my things." And we asked him if we could have a lift onto the site, and he said no.
I'm sorry.
And you wouldn't get that Nowhere, I don't think. But I don't know, it's changing again. Because I found with them my Burning Dude experience, because it's so big, automatically when anything becomes big, it splits up into different tribes. And I was in the worker tribe, the ones that were there building and things.
Mm-hmm. The DPW tribe.
The DPW, or not even the people who had spent ages crafting things with a glue gun for nights on end. Those people.
The artists.
Yeah, it was different to the ones that came in. There was more of that shiny mansion people. Yeah.
That's well, if you follow the same trajectory that Burning Man does, the weaker and more boring of the mobile mansion people will stop coming after one go.
Yep.
Because while it's a lot of fun, it's also weird and hard. And then the better of them will start throwing money at the artists so they can make neater stuff.
Yep.
And I do not discount the plug-and-play camps for all of the beautiful, frontage their camps bring out. I think that those things are very beautiful and are probably sustaining a handful of artists with worse morals than we have.
It's this thing of growth, isn't it? I think because Nowhere at the moment is going through a really big shift. Because for years it was just a couple of thousand people, 1,000, 2,000, not really big, still small enough so that you knew everybody. people who were coming were more people who were aware of the Burning Dude culture and had heard about it, so were a bit more experienced. Yeah, the last few years there's been a big shift with the Utes coming and the techno.
You really are mirroring the early burn. The techno was the first thing that killed Burning Man.
And so it's opened up all of these discussions, and lots of people who know Burning Man have used that. And I don't know, it's one of those, I personally do miss sort of the camaraderie of the small nowhere, and that's why I liked it I found it more soul satisfying. Like, I love Burning Man and how mental it is, but it's crazy and there's a lot of things. And it's harder to stay in. If you lose people, that's it, you're done. I like that. I like the little networks of nowhere back in the day. And there's a lot of people resistant to the growth, but I don't know.
How big has it gotten?
The more the merrier. And if people want to make another smaller event, then off you trot.
Agreed.
Yep.
How big is Nowhere at this point?
I don't know. I didn't go last year. I think like several thousands now.
It's in Spain, right?
It's in Spain, yeah, North Spain, in a little like mini desert. So yeah, you've got the same like toughness of terrain that you have at Burning Dude. Though slightly different.
How far out
More
into the wilderness?
Mosquitoes in the desert? That's odd.
I think it's like 40 minutes drive to the nearest town, Sardiniana. It's like a 40 minutes drive, but it's like, yeah, a little mini desert out there. Mm-hmm. Sort of a semi-desert, so it's bloody hot. You can't do any work and you got to siesta. You don't get the same, like, player foot. That's a bonus. So, they're both tough, but in different ways. But I like that hardness. Don't know why. Weird. But I like the, being in the elements.
That's always been a really attractive part of it. It's, you have to pay the price for your experience.
You are celebrating your survival.
Yeah. I like nature. And I like the person after the first few days are hard, but then you get in the swing of it and you just, it's good. I'll just wipe this sandwich muck on my leg.
You mean you haven't stocked up on studio towels?
Studio towel? No, I was just imagining myself in the desert wiping the ketchup on my leg, not caring.
I mean, that's what my skirt or shorts is for. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I try to keep it off my jacket, but like for some reason, if it's like hips and down, I don't really care how dirty that part of me is.
Yep, no, understood. Here's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's gone over there, but over here, it's got way more anarchist in a way. When the lockdown happened, all of these mutual aid groups started being set up through Facebook, through WhatsApp, in all the different neighbourhoods, so that the neighbours could, because there was a point when the lockdown happened when lots of people couldn't go shopping. And there were lots of people, like the vulnerable people who had to stay in for 3 months. Lots of people didn't have anybody to get their shopping. So these groups were set up and have been connecting neighbours in a way that's never happened before. And like my little tomato adventure. And also being in these little groups and delivering shopping and doing these things. Seeing people sharing and not caring about money in the same way and pooling the resources from the ground up, similar to Burning Dude, because loads of people realised that the powers that be didn't have our backs right now, and because you can't rely on your friends and your family who are a bit further away, you've had to look next door.
The same thing has definitely happened in the States. I have heard the phrase mutual aid more times in the past 2 months than I have ever outside of explicitly anarchist forums.
Yep.
Yeah. It is makes me so hopeful.
Isn't it?
Yeah. That
It's
can
really-
really be
it's
like
really
a default
interesting.
behavior of people in societies. If you just eliminate the wash of capitalism, if you
Yep.
put the brakes on
And
it for just a second, we all start taking care of each other.
And the things that have become important has been like your family, your home, your cooking, your garden, growing things. Like in the UK, we've had shortages in yeast and compost. Like all the garden stores online crashed because people were buying garden stuff.
Here it's been bread flour.
Bread flour, yeah, no, we've had bread flour, all the flour and yeast here particularly.
It was gardening stuff too. Brandy,
Yeah.
Brandy immediately tried to buy a bunch of seeds,
Yep.
and there were huge delays with that, or some such thing.
I ordered seeds 2 months ago and they still haven't come. So,
I might be able to mail you some.
but again, like the neighbours have been given. A neighbour came and posted some seeds through the letterbox. Never met them before. I have never seen so many people anti-right at this precise moment.
Yeah.
Like, this is really changing things. It's interesting. So
They're being pretty obstinately fucking stupid.
are we even surprised?
Kind of. Like, it really seems like there's immediate self-preservation into this one. Like, I understand the lying about climate change and shit like that because the effects of that are apparent. But, like, you can say that these storms and this other wild weather behavior, like, that's just for some other fucking reason. Or point to one thing that happened 300 years ago. But, like, people die of diseases. What the fuck do you mean you're not wearing a mask when you go out?
What's wild is that in the general social spaces that I've been out in with the grocery stores and things like that, I see basically everybody wearing a mask. The places that we see people not wearing a mask are at the gatherings of people who are explicitly on the fuck you, don't tell me shit, MAGA, MAGA, MAGA mindset. So there they are getting each other sick. It's lovely. It would be really interesting if we see a demographic spike in infections amongst the GOP base.
Well, sadly, from what I've been hearing, it's mostly been minority communities over there that have been getting it.
Yeah, it's our class system, which we don't speak of, and that is not, explicitly named or categorized. So it's easier not to think about because we don't have, like, a real concept of how many strata there are.
It's honestly, like I said, never had such a big culture shock as the times I've been in America. It's mad. Like, San Francisco and Oakland is just a perfect example. You go over the bridge and the change that's directly related to colour. It's mad.
And San Francisco has gotten much more, like, hyper disparity. It was already, like, street by street when I moved there, like, 15 years ago.
I don't know if you're probably used to it being in America, but like, I've not seen poverty like that in somewhere that's meant to be a first world country.
There's no way to get used
poverty in some like super poor places.
What's nuts about it is that it's at least the prevalence of poverty represented in public spaces by homelessness is a phenomenon that is recent within my lifetime. When I was a child and an adolescent, homelessness was a reality, but it was an order of magnitude less pervasive. There were like some mentally ill people chronically homeless in the major urban areas. That was a reality, but there were so many fewer. It just exploded with the defederalization of housing policy. In the 80s, they just cut all subsidies to federal housing. 75% of subsidies from the federal government to housing. And all of a sudden, the precariat ended up on the sidewalks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I grew up in poor rural Pennsylvania. So like there was abject poverty and like people living in shacks, and sometimes their homes would burn in the winter when, you know, they had to have electric heaters or something else on all night. But there wasn't really much homeless. There were transients that moved through because it was the middle of nowhere, but that was much more hobo stuff. Yeah. And then the rest of my family was in New York City. And in the 80s, New York City was a sea of homeless and like street living.
Yep.
But the disparity that has sprung up in the San Francisco Bay Area is like truly,
it's mad.
It's like, bad.
Made me sick to my stomach. Just like, see. Like, it's not saying that it's all roses over here, because we don't like to talk about the class system. Oh no. And we don't talk about the minor. Oh no, everything's fine now. There's no isms left. We're all equal.
In a lot of ways, America is the canary in the coal mine for the capitalist system. Like, other countries have long-standing cultural traditions and institutions that, to some degree, inhibit capitalism's wild, rapacious effect on everything. Here, because we're this mishmash immigrant country, we didn't have a unified cultural set of institutions. We built up this bric-a-brac bag of weird cultural or civic institutions, and then invented mass media and created an American culture which is defined entirely by consumerism. So what you see in America is what is the logical end point of capitalism.
It's weird anti-punk.
Yeah.
Like, it is the most buy-in to. It is the ultra sellout. It is fucking wild.
Yep. At the moment, like, this virus doodah, it's
I'm sorry, what?
The virus.
The virus
There's
thing.
a virus?
That thing that everyone's talking about.
Oh, I thought that was like some witch shit.
The Rona.
Corona.
That's terrifying. There's a virus. I will read up on this. Let me put that in my key.
Pussy Willow, don't think that hasn't been going through my head this entire quarantine.
Oh my God, I feel that. But yeah, no, people everybody's realizing now how fucked America is.
Oh, thoroughly.
Like that it's showing all the countries for how well looked after or not they are. The UK is pretty close behind.
I think the thing that I feel the most cultural kinship with between England and the U.S. is the prevalence of political self-destruction. Like there's an entire political faction in the UK that is hell-bent on ruining everything.
And they both have similar hairstyles.
They really do.
They do. The same sort of rotund, bit too well-fed. I hope they get gout.
At least your guy knows how to stand like a human.
Yeah.
Trump is the weirdest human being I've ever seen.
Do you know that what
and
Trump
Boris
means?
Johnson, like he's a fucking lout, but like he's not as just abjectly stupid as our president.
No, that's a bit more
like
frightening,
it is so fucking wild that people who I know that are like politically much different from me and much more sheltered from me, but I do think are intelligent, skilled people, like they can't see what a fucking ignoramus our president is.
Do you know what Trump means in British English?
Like to trump something?
No, it's better than that.
It's a fart, right?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
Trump means fart.
I did not know that. Woo!
Maybe I should tell you about the granny trolley.
The granny trolley.
Granny trolley. Well, you know, you probably always saw me with a cup of tea in my hand. I don't drink alcohol. I just tea. I just want tea. That's all I want. That's all. And every single one of my burning experiences, I've spent most of my time trying to source hot water points where I can go and fill my tea up. And making friends with people with kitchens who'll let me go in and boil a kettle. Like, that's my whole time. And so I always thought it'd be really nice to have some sort of portable tea distribution arrangement. And I think some Nowheres ago. So I was running the kitchen at Nowhere for like 3 years, the volunteer kitchen. So I would be on site like a month before the event and 2 weeks after the event, and I'd be working on the kitchen for 6 months doing spreadsheets that I hated.
Spreadsheets are the sacrifice we make out of love for the community.
And one of the... I think that's a difference between Nowhere and Burning Man that's had to change recently, is that in Burning Man, people actually get paid for working. People get tickets. People get things. Even though it's a gifting, a community, people who work hard lots get things. And I know there's some contention about who gets what and how much they work, but that's another story. In Nowhere, up until last year or a couple of years ago, no one got paid shit. No one, not one. Nobody even got gifted a ticket. Everybody had to buy a ticket. And one of the only reasons I could run the kitchen was because I'm a hooker. I've got flexible time and hours. And I can leave to go for 2 months. And often, which is probably something different about So we do actually have a couple of people who are paid staff now, which I think's a good thing, because I found that the volunteer system, because everybody was paying, it did create a barrier to people who couldn't afford to take 2 months off work, who couldn't afford to put the many hours. So I, as the kitchen lead, I'd always get co-leads, and then they'd always have to cancel because of work, and they didn't have enough money, and then I'd always be left running an entire kitchen for 2 months with not enough help. So the third year that this happened, I ended up having a bit of a wobble and leaving the kitchen and not going back to it. Yes.
Sometimes you just burn out.
I was burnt. I was.
You just gotta know when to pull the parachute.
I was just beyond redemption at that point. The months and months and months of work beforehand, and I'm not very good at spreadsheets. So anyway, so at that point I'd given up. I like humbug, burning everything. I hate them all. I work so hard for people to come and get wasted. They don't even say thank you. You know, the cynical burner type.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's me. So the next year when I went back, I only went there by accident. We'd had me and my friend, we'd had a load of drama, like loads of stuff had gone on in our lives, and we were like, fuck it, shall we go to Nowhere next week? We're like, yeah, go on then. So we went, fuck it, and we bought tickets and we managed to find our way out there. And I didn't want to be myself, because if I was myself, people would ask me questions and things about kitchen stuff. And I wanted to not be myself. So I became Auntie Wussy Pillow.
The genesis of Auntie
So
Lucy
for the
pills.
entire week, and my friend who's also into the tea, we'd thought for years of getting a tea trolley, and we found this little thing in a shop, some wheels, and we're like, fuck, it's happening. And we managed to hustle together some bits for a tea trolley, and we got a friend, we made it, and then we spent an entire week, mostly me, entire week as agony aunts, going around with our little tea trolley and giving people free tea biscuits and advice. And yeah, that's where the comedy started after that properly, because it was the being in character and being funny. So we'd have 3 types of visitors usually. You have the one that really just needs a cup of tea and a biscuit and a sit down and a safe place, and you open your big handbag and you give them a blanket and a soft thing and a biscuit, and they're there. And then you get the ones that come and genuinely want some advice, and they end up telling you everything and you give them advice. And then you get the ones that just want a silly time, and then you get the babies out the bag and Uncle Fister and the other silly things.
The babies.
It's the babies, the various babies.
How many babies are in your bag?
How many babies? Oh, it depends. We've got baby Chris, we've got Uncle Fister, Will and Kate, Mr. Not Giggles, Mr. Happy, various babies.
That's a big bag of babies.
A big bag of babies, and usually some kinky toys as well, because...
Wait, Uncle Fister is not a kinky toy?
No, Uncle Fister is a giant rubber fist, but he's everybody's favourite uncle. So, I'd really like to take the granny trolley to Burning Dude, but I need help, basically. This is the long story that I was getting to. Is I'm not coming back to America just yet. Well, it can't go anywhere. Maybe next year, maybe the year after. But when I do, what I'd really like is to be able to go somewhere with somebody who's quite good at building things, to build a granny trolley, take it there and show people how to have a proper cup of tea. That's what I'd really like. So, dear listeners, do let me know.
I mean, if somebody from the community fundraises for us, I will help you build this thing, as long as I don't
I
have
can
to
get
pay for it.
fundraising.
Done.
No hassle.
Great.
I can fundraise.
Let's do a thing.
Oh, D-Day will make that art with you, for sure.
Oh, will you make it with me? Mm-hmm. And I can come and have an adventure in, like, California for a bit and see all my favourite brethren over there.
You can.
I mean, when
And-
it's safe, yes.
When it's safe.
Well, there isn't going to be a Burning Man until 2021.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it's safe.
Yeah, when it's safe.
when it's
Is
safe.
it-
When it's safe.
Safe?
I have no comment on
Is
that.
it safe?
Yes.
Not
Is it
yet.
Safe?
I take
But
it
when
back.
it is, we're all going to need a nice good cup of tea and a sit down and a chat about it.
Agree.
That-
I
that
would
does-
love to learn to
Make a proper cup of tea.
from a proper cup of tea maker.
I have kind of wanted to do the same thing with a cup of coffee, but what I've wanted to figure out how to do is boil water with solar energy.
It's hard work. I've investigated it.
Yeah? Is it
Yeah,
prohibitively hard?
Well, the problem is with anything like kettley or water boilie, it takes quite a lot of energy.
Yeah, water is really hard to heat.
And when you're giving out as many cups of tea as I'm giving out, like, there's just not enough power, really.
But if we've got like 15 grand, we could probably buy like a glass lens that's strong enough to do that.
Yeah.
I was thinking,
I was thinking a glass lens.
I heard you say a glass lens. I was thinking a parabolic reflector with a glass beaker in
Well,
the middle.
these are all very
That
very long words indeed.
Oh, we know them and several others.
Oh, do you know what I really like is the back? Is it the back door, the front porch, the back porch,
Yes.
something porch, and they've got a little stove and a kitchen in one side.
And
glorious.
they make chocolate chip and other cookies.
Oh, the art car.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. But the thing is with the granny trolley is it's got to be real janky looking. Like, it's not fancy.
Uh-huh.
And there's also got to be an element of pulling it out. So it's something you drag along, or maybe on a bike there, really. You bike along, and then it comes out. Does that make sense? It folds open. And the chairs come out. Suddenly there's a sitting room.
It could easily be packed onto a single bicycle axle on a little wagon. With like,
I've been doing a
Mismatched
lot of
bicycle
stuff
tires?
with like plumber's strut lately. We can like build a physical trailer thing to
Yeah.
put pretty much anything on pretty easily.
Granny trolley! Granny trolley.
that sounds like not
I
too
just
hard and fun.
know it would go down really well there. And I'd like to finally bring because I really loved working in the camp, but like my true gift is bringing some weird and playtime.
I think the power setup that I am going to have for my workshop outside is going to be something that is modular enough so I can like pick up a bin with a battery and an amplifier and like pull solar panels off the roof and take it right to Burning Man to power shit. And if that's
Okay.
the case, we should be able to run like 3 kettles at a time.
Yep. Okay. Well, we need one kettle would be enough, because you've got to have this, like, you can't just really just give away the tea. It's the whole experience. It's the tea, it's the biscuit, it's the advice. So,
Done.
yep.
You can
and it's
manage
also
that
the
part.
act of boiling the kettle, and I need a whistly kettle,
No,
Well,
easy.
choose
That's-
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
a whistly
Yeah. You
one.
come
That's
from the
important.
land of kettles.
Yeah, and in the meantime, if anybody comes across like some nice chintz, a nice teapot, a lovely bit of lace, a bit of a nasty tea tray with a cat on it, fringy lamp. This is the aesthetic we're going for. Like, if you come across that in, what do you call them, op shops? or
I'm
anything over
theater
there.
folk. We can get or have or make that.
Yep. So just like try and glean those things, because you can't just go and buy that from blooming Walmart. That's like they've
Oh
got
no,
to be
we could source all of that in one like long day
Right.
of thrift storing in the bay.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, do you know what this means? This means I also have to come over at least a month before Burning Dude and come and help build it and hang out with everybody.
Yeah, you can stay with Beth.
I will.
Pretty easily.
I will bring everybody's favourite biscuit type from the UK,
Which
because
is?
you don't understand about biscuits over there. Sorry.
No,
You've got
don't
cookies.
apologize. Our cookies are largely shit.
You've got nice cookies, but they're not biscuits.
Some of them are.
And what you say are biscuits are not biscuits. They're like scones. And what you say is gravy on your biscuits is definitely not gravy. That's like a creamy sauce. It's all the
Well,
wrong way
I mean,
round.
it's officially a gravy, like you make a roux. It's thickened
But
with
it's-
what's already in the pan, but like it's not like
It's-
gravy.
It's not like gravy, though, is it?
No.
It's not gravy.
The
No.
problem with white gravy more often than not is they don't use a flavorful enough sausage, so all you're tasting is the roux. You have to have a really like rich sausage to translate into the gravy.
Nah. it's
Or
not-
I think a
it's
very
not
peppery
gravy.
bacon.
Yep. I do like eating over there. I did eat quite a lot of good things there.
We do have a lot of good food in amongst our a lot of trash
Do you know,
food.
I have been searching for the perfect taco, and I can't.
Oh, no.
Over here,
Absolutely not.
I just can't. There was a place I used to go to in Oakland when I went to go and I was camping in my friend's garden, and I used to go and do my washing in the laundromat. And there was a little taco van, and that was the best tacos I've ever eaten in my life there.
What do you like in your taco? What kind of
Taco con tripas.
Nice.
But I've become a vegetable recently, so I don't know how I'd feel about that now.
Well, in that case you can absolutely make your own tacos.
Yep. I could.
Tacos are
I
easy.
could make
Yeah.
my own tacos.
Corn tortillas are simple as shit.
I could make I made tortillas once, ages ago.
Yeah, I learned how to make tortillas from Robert Rodriguez.
Personally?
No, in every one of his like DVDs for one of his movies, one of the special features is like him in the middle of the night when he's editing the movie, turning the camera on and showing you how to make some like home style Mexican shit.
Well, that sounds
Pretty great.
great.
Yeah. Love that.
Well, you
guy.
know what? I never filled my tea up. Let me fill my tea up.
Oh, you ought to.
1 sec. So how's the like Burning Man cynicism over there? Because like, I don't know, I thrive on it. I love it. There's a group over here called Burning Bridges.
Oh, yeah. I'm in that.
Are you in the Burning Bridges group?
I am.
Bloody love it.
I
tell you what.
was. I may have left that. I don't know. I've left some of them because they're so overwhelmingly just like dickish.
Is that a shit talk the org and or your former campmates group?
No, but Burning Bridges is a bit more subtle and delicious. It's more like cynicism of the entire experience, which I like. It's actually gave me... I'd got to the point myself where I was so over it some years back. That actually gave me the power to go back again and be excited about it. The Burning Bridges group. Because I felt like I wasn't the
vent?
Yes, and I felt like I wasn't the only one with frustrations
Yeah.
about things.
Personally, I find the whole thing, my whole experience with the entire event, so overwhelmingly positive and nourishing to my life that I'm just not willing to let cynicism be my default. I want to look at proactive action to make it better and keep it good.
Yep. Yeah, well, that's why Granny Trolley came about, because it was my reaction to the things like it was so far removed from anything official. Mm-hmm. It's all completely self-done in a rucksack. Yeah. But I don't know. I think it depends on everybody's experience. I think because there's quite a few of us that have been so burnt out by it. I know lots of people have been burnt out, especially people who have done more work on the central organising of things.
Word.
And being on site for long times.
Yeah.
That's where I've seen a lot of burnouts, and that's where most of the people on the Burning Bridges group are people like myself who've had burnouts.
And I don't think I realized that context.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I don't fault anybody for that at all. I have burned out of specific roles and ways of going to Burning Man.
Yep.
At least once in a pretty dramatic fashion. But overall, that just...
Oh, well, I came back, didn't I?
Yeah.
I think it might be a British/European humour thing, because lots of people, like, we thrive on a bit of cynicism. Mm-hmm. Gosh, like maudlin humour and self-deprecating humour is the norm over. Yeah, I found my humour doesn't go down the same over there as it does here, for sure. Yeah, no, cynicism is more ingrained into our psyche here, and it's how we cope with existing.
I'm pretty cynical about most other things.
It's like the dark humour of cackling. It's the difference between American Office and UK Office.
American
That's
Office
the truth.
is trash.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a different style of humour.
Nothing the American Office ever did was anywhere near as gut-wrenchingly cringy as any given episode of British Office.
Disagree.
So uncomfortable.
But like not in the same way. Mm-hmm. There's some. Ooh, are there some?
So many times when I was like misinterpreted over there, and I misinterpreted other people because, like, say you speak the same language, well, not quite the same, but culturally it's very different. Most Americans are like, they're very open about feelings. I feel this about this. I don't know. Whereas British folks are definitely not open about feelings. We're all about banter. We always open up a conversation with a joke about ourselves and how useless we are.
It's an effective disarming technique.
It is, absolutely. I was reading a thing ages ago and I thought it was about how different cultures have different ways of making people feel instantly comfortable. And the UK, it's a self-deprecating joke about yourself. In Paris, France, I lived in France as well. This is absolutely true. It's a joke about someone else. And in America, they tell you about themselves.
And smile ear to ear.
Yep. I really enjoy when Americans call me ma'am. I don't think they realise what a pervert I am. What it does to me when they say it. Can I get you anything else, ma'am? Oh, yes. Just get on your knees and call me ma'am again. It's terrible. Simple, innocent things. Oh my God, you're English? Oh my God.
So what you're telling us is your kink is American customer service language? That's specific.
One of my many kinks, yes.
Eerily wholesome.
Yes, really wholesome. I'm doing a good job of persuading all my neighbours that I'm wholesome. I don't think they've figured it out yet, which is how I intend to keep it for now.
Yeah, well, we won't put your address in the episode notes then.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
shit. Too late. I've written them.
Well, then, oh well. Cool.
You can't edit those documents.
And thankfully, my landlords are pretty cool. My landlords, they're queer artists, nudists.
Oh, that's like ideal
wonderful.
landlords.
Yeah, right?
What more
And
did
they
you ask for?
gave me permission to get naked in the garden,
Oh my God.
which is conveniently completely closed off from the neighbours. It's magnificent.
Not
And
bad.
it was purely a mistake because I found them through like an online ad. It was meant to be.
Yeah, that's not a mistake. That's kismet.
No, it was meant to be. And I'm pretty sure that if they found out I was a sex worker, they're not going to kick me out, which is
Right.
a novel experience.
Yeah, you can't test those waters, but like that's a pretty good fallback.
Yep. Because usually I have to live in slight anxiety of being kicked out.
That's a terrible place to be.
You know?
Yeah, that's
Oh, yes.
uncomfortable precarity.
Yes. Oh, yes, we love a bit of precarity over here. One
That's
of
a
the
thing
fun-
we have in common.
Yeah. One of the weird laws of strange laws they have is like pretty much most leases on most houses, they say you can't pay for the house with immoral earnings and you can't have immoral activities within the house. Now that is so open-worded and leaves such a lot of interpretation. So basically, most sex workers, unless they actually own the property themselves or are living with a friend who owns the property, if their landlords find out what they're doing, they could, at the whim of the landlords, be kicked out.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much got the same thing here, but our leases
surprise me.
speak about criminal activity, and our sex work is very broadly criminalized.
Yeah, sex workers really have not great rights over there at all. In fact, none, I believe.
The absence thereof.
The absence thereof. And since Foster Sester, it's been pretty brutal. Are there any mutual aid groups for sex workers that you know of around you?
I couldn't name them, but
You should find them and on your next show advertise them
Yeah,
to
or
people
we can
to donate.
We can tag them onto this in post. I have seen posts in a couple of my social media feeds from sex workers that I am acquainted with about mutual aid networks.
Yep.
So we will either tag that onto this episode or put that in the show notes for this episode.
Great. And share it on your social media and things. We've got some great mutual aid groups over here. One in England, one in Scotland, one in Ireland as well, which is good. And people have been donating, which is nice.
Wonderful.
It is like sex workers. I know in America it was already pretty rough with foster sister, and just generally the attitude and the clamping down, and now it's even harder. So yes.
There is nothing that the American federal government loves more than criminalizing a controversial issue.
Yep. Oh, yes. No. It gets good brownie points.
Mm-hmm.
It gets lots of votes from people. Also, there's a lot of people, rich Christian charities, there's a surprise, lobbying for the more further criminalisation of... They were the ones that lobbied for foster sister. Lots of the major anti-trafficking charities, mostly like American Christian funded. In the UK, actually, a lot of the nasty feminists, there's like the Swerf Turfs, are funded via American Christian groups with agendas actually over here. So they are actually pushing political agenda over here.
It's like they don't remember who Jesus hung out with.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Jesus. Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. The point is, listen to Jews.
Yep.
What is the Jewish opinion on prostitution?
It's fine. Yeah, go right ahead.
I guess it is not like prohibited. No, I guess.
Dude, wear a mask.
Well, I mean, the whole thing about Jesus hanging out with prostitutes was in opposition to Jewish law, right? That was the whole thing about him. He was doing the shit that was prohibited because he was Jeebus.
Bejeebus.
Yeah, but it's past that. And now Jews are fine with it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Doth say I,
D-Day.
the arbiter of all Jewish.
Representative of the tribe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that seems like a pretty good place to leave it. Like, I don't think I'm going to say anything more profound than that.
Pussy Willow, why don't you say the radio station one more time for our listeners?
Oh, yes. No, I do like to plug. So, Radio Ava, radioava.org is the website. You can also find us on Mixcloud. And I believe we're on SoundCloud now.
Nice.
I think, which is exciting. And, that's the Sex Workers radio station in the UK. And we've got lots of sex worker news and gossip and silly things. As well, if anybody, I'll ask again, if any workers over there would like to get in touch, particularly at the moment, we're doing a little segment where we're hearing different sex worker voices from around the world and how they're affected by that virus thing that's happening at the moment. And yeah, you should tune in because it's good, I think, anyway.
Sounds great.
But we did a little comedy show recently, Jezebels, which was sex worker comedians performing via Zoom with Radio Ava. I think we're going to do another one. So also, if there's any sex work performers, comedians over there who want to perform, because through the power of the internet at the moment and everything on Zoom, we can actually have performers from all the way over there. So let us know.
Pussy Willow, thank you so much.
It's been really nice to talk to you.
Agreed.
And maybe the tides will twist us together in some field somewhere. Who knows?
100% keep in touch.
I want to go on adventures again.
Pussy Willow.
Hey, that was a real good segue you did there, leading us into Pussy Willow. This is a really shitty segue out of Pussy Willow. I hope you enjoyed it, listeners.
Holy crap. Thank you, Pussy Willow. God damn it. Come to Burning Man with us again. I miss you.
You know what? Don't just come back to Burning Man, but get your recorder and record us some British burners, and we will put those interviews on the podcast.
Do you have any subs that really want to be humiliated by telling their Burning Man stories on tape to you? Because I
bet they do. I bet that makes some dudes come.
And listeners, you too. Do you have any subs who you can dominate and humiliate into telling interesting Burning Man stories? Why don't you bring them on our show?
Let us know if it helps them come. Suddenly I'm fascinated by that.
Wow, season 6 is going to be interesting, you guys.
No. Never ending season 5.
Yeah.
It's going to be real funny that a decade from now we're still on
season 5.
Season 5 episode 412.
I guess a season is what we call it.
You can't control us. We'll do what we want.
Because Accuracy Third is produced by Accuracy Third. That's what produced by means.
And the music on this episode is probably by D-Day.
Almost certainly by D-Day. Running out of sound bed that I wrote 5 years ago. Anyone got decent sound bed, send it to me.
We're kind of on social media. Come kind of find us.
I'm shouting at Matt Gaetz on the regular. So find me on Twitter. I've got terrible takes. Terrible takes. But every once in a while, someone's like, good take. And I'm like, nah.
Really?
No, they're being sarcastic, D-Day.
No, I challenged some dude who was using the Bible to justify Donald Trump's behavior and why he should continue to be president. And I pointed out that, among other things, the Bible definitively tells us what to do if your neighbor steals your goat. And this dude was like, hey, good thing there. And I was like, nah.
Well, if you want gems like that, follow at A3RD_DAY on Twitter. That's D-Day.
That's Kilgore trout fishing in America.
If you want to do stuff that's more related to what we do on this podcast, you can find us at Accuracy Third. You can hit us up, accuracythird@gmail.com. Don't bother with the Facebook. We pretty much ignore it. But get a hold of us. Tell us your story. Send us stories. Call in.
If you could record your own shit and edit it really well and then just send it to us, that would be preferable.
Yeah, we can just bracket that real easily. Punch in, punch out. Man, having a podcast is great. Takes all the free time in the world.
Speaking of podcasts, by the time this hits your earballs, it should be just about time for you to find our other podcast.
Well, chances are by the time this hits your earballs, it's 2025, and 2 out of the 3 of us are mutant radioactive slugs. But if you listen to this when it comes out right before the end of the year in 2020, then you, my friends, are a week away from having your fun killed.
I'm going to be a salamander when the mutation comes down. I'm still going to have the little...
Wouldn't you be a salamander?
Oh, God, I hate you.
I know. We need to finish up this here promo thing that we're doing where we're telling people to listen to The Fun Killer Chronicle, our brand new podcast launching right around New Year time, where we spend way too much time thinking and talking about The Name of the Wind and Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. Fun little books. So if you want to hear more of us and less about Burning Man, check that out. You can find it on any of the podcast things. You can find it on social media at FunKillerPod. Now,
if you edit audio, shoot me an email. Mark.
So biscuits, right? There's a lot of different biscuits over here. Any everybody's got a favourite biscuit, and that's what the auntie's job is to find out.
And what is yours? And don't lie, because we'll know.
I've got a few favourites, actually. Depends on my mood. I like a custard cream. Oh, I do like a custard cream.
That's a little sandwich cookie, right?
It's like a little, like a rectangle sandwich with pale stuff in. And then I quite like a jam biscuit. Mm-hmm. Anything jammy, like a jammy Dodger. That's nice. That's a sandwich with jam in.
Mm-hmm.
That's adorable.
Nice. Did you not know about Jammy Dodger?
Ooh,
I have
I
never
like
heard Jammy Dodger in my life.
Jammy
fig roll?
Dodgers.
Have you had
Fig
a fig?
rolls.
Have you had a fig Newton? Is that similar to a fig roll?
It's the same thing, I think. Fig roll.
See,
Very good. Keeps you regular.
We have
Very
all
good.
of these biscuits, but they're not the They're not the big
you don't
sellers.
You don't have these biscuits.
Oh,
you
yeah,
have Newtons.
You can
Which is
get
similar, but
Jammy
you don't-
Dodgers here. You can absolutely get
Yeah,
Jammy
but
Dodgers.
you
in all
can't
sorts of-
get
They're just not called that.
custard creams. You can't get your bourbons. You can't get your ginger nuts, your hobnobs. Different worlds. Different worlds.
Entirely.
It really is. Oh, goodness. One of my biggest culture shocks, apart from walking around San Francisco and Oakland and going across that bridge, oh my God, I went to Texas. Wow.
Ooh, where in
went
Texas?
To San Antonio.
Ooh.
Well, I went to
Texas.
I started off in Dallas. I was with a sugar daddy at the time, actually. I went from Dallas, then we went on a little road trip down to, San Antonio. And, I went to an NBA game. Whoa.
Sounds legit.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. It really is like the movies. Fuck. Like, I've never been in a big stadium before.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't.
You've never gone in.
What's the matter? All
seen, like,
the
a big soccer game?
adverts.
Football game?
No, it was basketball.
No. I mean, like you hadn't gone to.
A giant
No, not
stadium.
really.
Okay.
Not really. I've done, I think, some gigs, but nothing like that environment before.
Yeah, because the UK has had stadium technology since like literally the 50s.
Oh yeah, well, I just don't really pay attention. So I've never been. And then all the adverts in between, like they'd sort of each of the rounds, and then be like an advert,
sell.
Things would come from the sky, and then they'd have the T-shirt cannon. And then there was the bit where they all genuinely did the national anthem, and it blew my mind. And my sugar daddy, he elbowed me in the ribs. He's like, stand up, because they all looked like they wanted to stab me.
Fuck you.
And then I stood up and I spoke in English loudly, an English accent, that is, loudly. And it was very, very interesting. And then they had, and now we have introducing the veterans for today's game. Thank you so much for your service to the country. Oh, whoa. And then when I was walking around San Antonio, there was like a cheerleader convention or something, because there were loads of tiny children in full makeup wandering around doing chants in these like groups. And it was like everything I'd seen on, the telly box when they talk about, the beauty queen, the kiddie child beauty pageants and things.
Oh, is that not how you exploit your children in the UK?
Oh, no, it's far more subtle.
Oh, yeah,
Far
yeah.
more subtle. Everything very subtle here. There's lots of coded language. And then there was also some sort of graduation of people from the army. And I overheard moms be like, I'm so proud of your granddad would be so proud of you. Gee, Mom, thanks. Whoa, mad.
Wow, you really got a face full of American jingoism.